So I had this tattoo, and it was like, okay, well, but they're addictive, unfortunately. So I had another one, and I had another one, had another one, had another one, and now I have quite a number actually. But what I found was, in terms of the benefit, one, I actually quite like clever artistic tattoos. Two, I got to be able to take the pain, and that was part of it as well. I got to be able to not even flinch, where there were people at tables alongside me, sort of squawking and doing all sorts of things, and they were riding Harleys, So, that on one hand, that shouldn't matter. That shouldn't mean anything. But on the other hand, it contributed to my feeling invincible, invulnerable, and able to cope with anything at all that cancer can throw at me, including the treatments and procedures. I engage myself in goal-setting processes towards more purposeful living. Well, I've got chapter 13 in my book, which is a goal-setting process, those of you who choose to read it. We can endure almost anything if there's a why, and this comes down to we need a reason to live, and I don't say that in any way patronisingly, or if people have not lived, it's not because they didn't have a lot of reason to live. It ain't that. What it is an additional factor that can help us cope and help us move forwards if we have a lot to really want to fight for. All we can do is what we can do. We're like soldiers in a war field. If we get hit directly by a massive bomb, that's going to be it. But the more clever we become, the more likely it is that we can dodge these things and carry on through. So I would always see myself 5 and 10 years ahead anyway. I mean, right from the very start, I would mentally go, okay, they're talking about me being terminal, they're talking about me not being able to get a cure and all the rest of it. Well, I can just see myself now in 5 years and in 10 years, and I would actually visualise how I looked, who I'd be with, what I was doing, and all those sort of things. Again, scientifically, how could you prove whether that helped at all? But for me, in terms of my morale, it helped an awful lot. I was always looking to live a life that accorded with my nature and aspirations. This is something which many, many people affected by cancer and have come through, and they're in the survivorship stage, and a number of them who have read my book or whatever contact me and say, I'm with you, I don't know how to get there, I've got no idea, And I don't have all the answers by any means. I don't think anyone does, but I do have some thoughts and experiences which help. And in 2004, facing my second stage 4 encounter, 6th overall diagnosis since 1979, I focused intently, and this is documented in chapter 13 of my book, on what I wanted to achieve, who I was, what was my personality, and therefore what were my needs. Because often we don't even actually look at that. I've been an accountant. If you have a look at my personality, I'm the last person that should be an accountant, or whatever it might be. And so working out a number of those things and actually setting forward goals, I found extraordinarily effective, and I did that process all the way through my high-dose chemotherapy, my stem cell transplant, my spleen removal, all that stuff. So I was doing it during the toughest time when I knew I would need the most support and help and strength that I could possibly get. So this was a key factor in my resilience and resulted in an incredibly stronger and higher level of quality of life when I emerged from the hospital system at the end of 2004. I lose my decades because, at the end of 2004, So this is interesting. I discovered an experience beyond resilience, post-traumatic growth. Now we hear lots about post-traumatic stress, right? And we often wonder, particularly when we're in the survivorship stage, what is this that's happening to me? Maybe it's post-traumatic stress. And many counsellors, many psychologists, etc., are not able to give us a clear answer on that question. And the value of a clear answer on that question would be that maybe with knowing the thing, we can actually apply interventions to be able to resolve that thing. So I struck across this because I'd been feeling both elated, as I do, I'm sort of bouncing off walls type of person by nature, feeling that, and on the other hand, feeling remorse, depression sometimes, negativity, and all those sort of things. And I was like, well, what the heck is this? One should be overcoming the other. Well, it turns out, according to some of the research I've read, and I put the references for that at the end of my presentation as well, this one here is talking about the reports of growth experiences and the aftermath of traumatic events actually far outnumber the reports of psychiatric disorders or post-traumatic stress and things like that. That's an interesting point. But what I learned was that it's normal and not uncommon for the stress and distress of your situation to run along parallel with the elation of actually having realised self-actualize a little bit more, if you like, actually, being on a path that's giving you so much quality of life. So this is a fascinating thing. For me, it was like, a light went on, and I immediately went and searched out all the papers I could on the internet to read more and more about it. But it's a simple concept, and it's, a lot of these things are very difficult for people to actually pin down and diagnose or prognose and help you with. And with an incurable chronic illness such as I seem to have, this calls for ongoing resilience building and, for me, purposeful living, continual reviews of our situation and changing our lifestyle to marry up with what engages us and what makes us passionate, etc., is the key. So, really, this is one of the overall messages from my presentation. There's no surprise in that. Never, 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 never give up. So 6 objectives that evolved over time. These weren't something that I sat down and said to myself, right, I'm going to write 6 objectives and I'm going to live by that. I'm not that smart, actually, and my cancer experience was over 3 to 4 decades, And so I would learn new things, and apply and put them together and then turn that around. But over time, I had 6 objectives when I thought about it. One was to set aside my natural tendency to go it alone. And I think that is important and crucial for those of us who are that way inclined. To gather any information on my disease and treatments that would, I feel, serve my needs. What I mean by that, everyone's different. Some people want all the information. They want all the statistics. I do not want the statistic that I've just been diagnosed with my 7th cancer diagnosis. What are my chances of living beyond 5 years? I don't want to know that. One, it's almost playing victim and putting yourself in the hands of someone else to tell you how long you're going to live. And when, as far as I'm concerned, I'll decide when I'm going to die, and that's probably never because I'll be immortal and all that. But I feel I have a lot to contribute towards that end result. To use practices that could help minimise my stress, despair and fear, while maximising my hope, optimism and sense of invincibility. Again, invincibility is not an achievable thing, but it's a great thing to aspire to. To become more adaptive to certainty, bricks don't adapt, rubber bands do. Change and disappointment are more tolerant of pain and discomfort. So, I've told you about a couple of the things that I did to make myself more tolerant to that. To identify and utilise measures that could modify my mood and attitude. This is crucial for me, because I'm quite an emotional person, you wouldn't know it most of the time, and rally me to action or conjure up my strength quickly. And to take stock of my life and enhance purposeful living. And there's processes for that. My chapter 13 is a useful starting point for that. Ensuring that I live in ways that give me the greatest sense of meaning and purpose. I always said, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I want to feel I'm on the path and I've been doing things that I wanted to do. I haven't been on somebody else's path. I haven't had somebody else dictate to me the life I should live. Here I am, I'm right on it. I'm going to go sometime. This is okay. And 7 things that resilience work has done for me overall. Well, one, it's sustained me, hasn't it? Here I am, me or a hologram, I'm not quite sure which. No, I'm too fat to be a hologram, actually. But I'm now 33 years, almost 34 years into a maximum life sentence, of 10 years, and still going strong. And albeit that I have a recurrence, it's not creating me any problems at this point in time, and it's so indolent that it may not do for many, many, many years. It's enabled me to be more open and inclusive with my feelings and needs. Not, you would never call me a metrosexual man, but I think I'm a heck of a lot better than I was, a long time ago, maybe. Given me the firm belief that I can cope with anything, and I've talked through that a lot. Make me a better communicator, with medical people, with all sorts of people, self-advocates, problem solver and decision maker in the hospital system. And that is crucial. If you're going to look after your own interests, those things are absolutely essential. Enabled me to come to terms with not achieving my initial goal of being cured, i.e. I've become more adaptable. And as I've become more adaptable, I've become even stronger and more resilient in the face of cancer. And enabled me to quickly pick myself up when the trials of cancer survivorship, which some of you may be going through after your treatments, lead to temporary distress or depression, which occasionally I get along the way. And encourage me to always live my life fully and purposefully without self-limited due to an expectation of a premature demise. if I did that, I would never have started with Jill, our family, 5 years ago. And I couldn't be happier that we did start a family. I'm in good shape, relatively speaking, and it's the best experience of my life. Why wouldn't you do it? Oh no, I might die in 5 years' time. Yeah, well, you might get hit by a bus tomorrow, and I hope you don't. So, predictable takeaway messages. When we work hard to hone our resilience, we're far more better able to cope with cancer, its treatments and its stressors, as well as survivorship, the life after a cancer experience. No matter your innate resilience, because a lot of you may be thinking, oh good, I couldn't do a bunch of those sort of things. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you start from. The point is you can take actions and they can suit you. They're not the ones that suit me necessarily. They can suit you and actually develop resilience, develop more flexibility to be able to handle what you need to in the system. And it takes ongoing work and effort though. You can't just go, okay, resilience, come to me. It ain't going to happen. So give it your all, and you can be that Walkman of 1 million rubber bands. I'm certain of it.